Good day, welcome to our webinar, and today's topic, child maintenance applications. I shall not deal with the issue concerning how to apply for child maintenance, what are the requirements to apply for child maintenance, the process, and so on. I have many videos posted on that specific topic. Today I want to touch on a few issues when dealing with child maintenance matters. Basically, if you follow me on these specific points, you should be able to handle your child maintenance matter much better. Those are the few points. I shall unpack it a bit later. However, let me stipulate it quickly. Focus on the child's expenses. Remember, the other parent has no obligation to maintain you. Ensure you have supporting evidence. And lastly, don't be afraid to state your case. So those are the basic points I would like to highlight in this specific webinar. And hopefully it would assist you in your specific maintenance application. If, however, you would like to know how to apply for child maintenance, the process, etc., please refer to our previous videos. There are many articles on Our Lawyer website, www.ourlawyer.co.za, where you can find a lot of relevant information on assisting you on how to apply for child maintenance. You'd also find a child maintenance calculator that would be very useful in calculating the amount of maintenance you'd like to claim. Okay, so before we begin, child maintenance. Here specifically I'm referring to, and people might say I'm being unnecessary here, but to maintenance for a minor child. Where you are the guardian, you are the parent of the minor child, the child is under 18 years old, from 0 to, for 1 day at least, until just before the child turns 18 years old. Once the child turns 18 years old, we're dealing with an adult, and that's a separate process with its own technicalities and so on. But the long and the short of the matter is, once you are an adult, you should apply for maintenance yourself. There are some exceptions, of course. Child maintenance, the child is 17 or younger, you the parent applying for child maintenance. So I won't be dealing much with the issue concerning the other parent who is defending the application. There would be a separate video dealing with that specific scenario. But today my client, the person in front of me, is someone who is applying for child maintenance. And if you are someone who is opposing a child maintenance application, please follow along. You may be able to apply some of these principles to your specific case on how to defend it or how to deal with it. Or if the parent applying for child maintenance is applying other principles or other scenarios to your specific matter, you may be able to interject and say, this doesn't make sense, should this not be the case? Okay, let's start. Focus on the child's expenditure. Now, many parents, when they start a child maintenance application process, they focus a lot on their expenditure, which is relevant. That's of course. However, please note the other party, and as you will see from my second point, has no legal obligation to maintain you, and therefore you're not claiming maintenance for yourself. Yes, the amount of maintenance the other party has to pay has an effect on your ability to maintain the minor child to a certain extent and your specific expenditure. For argument's sake, let's say the child cost 1,000 rand, for lack of a better, for easy amount to work with, and your income is 3,000 rand per month. For you to survive and for you to look after yourself, you require about 2,500 rand. So it's important that we know what your income is, and we need to know what you spend your money on. That's very important as well. You can't spend all your money on one asset and say, because of this one asset I cannot support my minor child. It has to be reasonable. But let's go on to point number 1. Focus on the child's expenditure. The reason why I'm saying so is because the other party has a legal obligation to pay maintenance based upon the child's expenditure. So if the child costs 1,000 Rand per month to survive, to live, accommodation, food, clothing, medical, and so on, the other parent who is supposed to pay maintenance would pay a maximum. The maximum he or she would ever pay would be 1,000 Rand because the child costs that amount of money. He or she would not be ordered to pay any cent beyond that. And depending upon you as a parent caring for the minor child or the caregiver, the one claiming maintenance, depending upon what your contribution should be, would lower that 1,000 Rand. So for argument's sake, let's say the child costs 1,000 Rand per month, you earn 3,000 Rand per month, the other parent earns 3,000 Rand per month. A argument can be made that both parents should pay 500 Rand towards a minor child expenditure. Therefore, your 500 Rand will be used towards, partly used towards the accommodation, food, clothing, and so on, and the other parent's 5,000 Rand would be used for exactly the same. But he or she would only pay 500 Rand, not 1,000 Rand plus, 1,001 Rand. Maximum 1,000 Rand, but in my scenario, 500 Rand. When you focus on the minor child expenditure, it's important to deal with actual expenditure. Many people add on expenses, and what sometimes becomes evident is that they've added things that the minor child never ever required or used or incurred. And that's quick to work out, because what the mother is basically saying is, my salary is 3,000 Rand per month, but the child cost 4,000 Rand per month. It's illogical. It doesn't make sense. How can the child cost 4,000 Rand per month, but the mother only earns 3,000 Rand per month, and of the 3,000 Rand per month she must use for herself and for her own expenditure as well? It doesn't make logical sense. Yes, maintenance applications aren't based solely upon what the child has been using or incurring in the sense of expenditure. You can stipulate and say, I would like to enroll the minor child into extramural activities. The child requires additional clothing, but I could never ever have afforded it in the past, and therefore I require the other parent to pay a contribution towards that. That is possible, but you need to stipulate that. The court needs to know that. But when you stipulate that the child costs so much money, it needs to be well worked out and well explained. Therefore, if your accommodation cost is 2,000 Rand per month, and please, I ask you your indulgence, I'm using very simple figures here, and figures that might not make sense in reality. I might even say that a child's schooling cost 50 Rand, for argument's sake, but it's all just to explain to the viewer on how calculations takes place. Now, moving forward on that specific point. So if you say your accommodation costs 2,000 Rand per month, for argument's sake, you need to work out what portion of that 2,000 Rand per month for accommodation should be allocated to the minor child. Now, it's simple just to say half, 1,000 Rand, but it shouldn't be that way. Now you're moving into a house, you're renting a house of 4 bedrooms, but the only people living in that house is you and the minor child, 2 people. Therefore, you, out of your own, rented a house with 2 additional bedrooms. Can we expect the other parent to pay towards those additional bedrooms, which will be most probably used for yourself, for your own office, for your home office, your home gym, whatever you are using it for, or for other people to live in, should they come visit or come on a holiday, and so on? Therefore, in determining what the amount of accommodation should be for the minor child, you need to focus on what portion of this house is used towards a minor child. And I like using this example. If you did not have the minor child living with you, let's say the minor child was living with the other parent, and you had to choose accommodation, what would be the cost of the accommodation? Would it be a 4-bedroom house? Would it be a 2-bedroom house? Would it be a 1-bedroom house or apartment? if it is a one bedroom apartment, what's the costly of? Let's say the costly of would be 1,200 rand. But because you have the minor child with you, you need to now factor in this additional expenditure. There's still one bedroom, sorry, there's still one bathroom, there's still one kitchen, but now it costs a bit more money for additional bedroom. And let's say that additional bedroom cost in the sum of 800 rand. Therefore, we can now portion the child's cost for accommodation to the sum of 800 rand. Therefore, the other parent should only contribute towards that 800 rand, which is the minor child's living expenditure or accommodation. So therefore, you do not blindly stipulate, okay, my rent is 10,000 rand per month, all of a sudden I want the father to pay 5,000 rand per month. That it does not work that way. It is possible that the minor child portion could be higher than half, much more than half, or less than half, or it could just be half. That's also possible. But you have to now focus and work out exactly what the minor child's expenditure are regarding that specific expense. It's very important to do that. And then you unpack every other expense therefrom. So let's deal with the complicated one, the more complicated one. The accommodation is a bit easy, can be complicated, but it is a bit easier than the one regarding groceries. Now, groceries is extremely difficult. Not difficult, it should not be difficult, but it can be difficult, and I would say it is difficult. The reason why I'm saying so is, if you go shopping, you throw into the basket potatoes, rice, oil, whatever it is, soaps, detergents. How do you determine, based upon your grocery bill, the 1,000 rand in this example, what portion of that bill is for the minor child and what's for you? You can work it out. The food. How much of the 200 rand of meat you purchase was eaten by the minor child, or will be eaten by the minor child? So it's a bit challenging to work out. Cereal as well, how do you work that out? You know, the child, you buy some cereal for the minor child eats that specific cereal. You purchase a box every 2 weeks or once a month. So you need to work here, you need to focus here. Okay, let's work out this grocery bill here. I buy the following. I bought the following for the first month. By the second month, they were all used up. I've determined that the minor child uses, or part of the grocery bill, 70% of the grocery bill is for the minor child, because I'm an adult. I do not eat as much as a minor child. The minor child likes sandwiches. He likes to have snacks. He likes his jams and his peanut butter and his Nutella, whatever the case may be. And he likes his fruits. And the grocery bill generally deals with him, his lunches and so on. And therefore, based upon your entire grocery bill, which you obviously prepared, and we'll see later on you have to prepare this, the grocery bill of 1,000 rand for the week, 700 rand of the grocery bill goes to the minor child. You might have your separate toiletry bill at Clicks or at Discam, wherever that is, that you deal with separately. Now we worked out what the minor child costs, because the other parent has an obligation to pay towards that 700 rand. It's mathematics, it's accounting, deal with spreadsheets. You need to explain exactly why the other parent has to contribute that specific amount. And if you worked it out very well and explained, the child has breakfast, the cereal. The minor child has milk. The minor child has some yogurt, for argument's sake. And this comes out to so much, and we spend and we purchase it every 2 weeks or once a week, whatever the case may be. And this is the bill. And it times it by 4, and it will come to an amount. Aspects regarding electricity, that could be a bit challenging, because you're saying electricity bill is now 1,000 rand. With load shedding, I do not know if it's more or less. Things must be heated up in any event. But nonetheless, that's your electricity bill, 1,000 per month. How do you apportion? You know, what part of the bill gets used for the minor child? You say, you know, the minor child enjoys showering long. He uses more hot water than me. I need to leave the light on for the minor child because he can't sleep with the light off. Whatever the case may be. So you have to work out that proportionment quite well. For electricity, water as well, etc. So those are the complicated ones. Then we're dealing with issue concerning school fees. Those are easy ones because it's once off. Extramural activities, those are once off payments. Medical expenditure, if the child is on a medical aid, you can easily work out the child's portion. That's calculated. Medical expenditure, I'm certain a minor child does not go to the doctor every week. Hopefully not. Once a month. For the last 12 months, he worked it out. On average, comes to 200 rand, 300 rand, whatever the case may be. Those are a bit easier. And then we have the issue concerning petrol. So you need to know here that petrol is an expense for the minor child. You take the minor child to school, you take the minor child to extramural activities, or you take the minor child here or there. I would find it very hard to see that someone's petrol bill, the portion for the minor child is higher than that for the parent, unless the parent works from home specifically, and the parent needs to take the minor child to school every day. But generally, it would be that the parent's bill would be a bit higher. But there is a portion of the family petrol bill allocated to the minor child, which the other parent has to pay towards. Therefore, I'm saying focus on the minor child. It's a very difficult one, but you need to do that on the expenditure. The minor child has no income, you're the one with the income. That's very easy to work out on your side. And the reason why I'm saying so is because, as I mentioned earlier on, let us move to point number 2. Remember, the other parent has no obligation to maintain you. Very important to note. Therefore, all your numbers, all your figures, your expenditure needs to be well worked out, because the court is determining I can only order the other parent to pay any amount of maintenance based upon the foundation. What does the child cost per month? Full stop. And if we have not determined properly what the child costs per month, how can we properly determine what other parents should pay? Yes, of course, we have to look at income and expenditure from both parents, but that is easy to work out, very easy to work out. And the ultimate amount, as I mentioned earlier on, will be solely dependent upon what the minor child cost, or predominantly dependent upon. Of course, we have to look at the income, expenditure, and assets of the parents in determining what their contribution should be. But it will be based upon the expenditure of the minor child's, or the minor child's costs. Then my third point, ensure you have supporting evidence. Very, very important. Supporting evidence. If you are saying the minor child school fees is 1,000 rand per month, please show supporting documentation. If you are saying your grocery bill comes to 1,000 rand per month, have supporting documentation. If you're saying the child eats cereal, you need to show that proof that you purchase cereal 4 times a month for the minor child. Have supporting documentation. It's very important. A quick side note, make sure that you have an Excel sheet. You cross-reference your supporting documentation to the Excel sheet. My apologies. So for argument's sake, let's say we're dealing with accommodation, the first point. Pages 1 to 3 will deal with accommodation, the lease agreement. That will be page number 1. And in the Excel sheet, you will say accommodation, page number 1, you cross-reference, like you have an index. Page number 2 deals with electricity. Here's a proof, page number 2, electricity bill 1,000 per month. You go to page number 2, it shows all the receipts or the vouchers for electricity for an amount of 1,000 per month. So you cross-reference these things. Do it. My advice to anyone is scan it in nicely into the computer, put it nicely into folders, and work there from. So you do not work with this documentation. You scan them in from the word go, and you work from that. Once you go to court, you print out a hard copy for the court, and you can always email another copy to the court or to the other side as well, but you have your scanned copies. If something goes missing or something goes lost, you have your scanned copies. That's very, very important. And lastly, don't be afraid to state your case. That's very, very important for both parties, for the mother and the father, or the father and the mother, depending who's taking who to the maintenance court. State your case. If the other parent has assets, has income, has the capability of paying more maintenance or the incapability of paying more maintenance, or only capable of paying X amount of maintenance, stipulate that. Put it to the maintenance court. The maintenance court, the magistrate, the maintenance officer, they're all human and they're all prone to suggestion. You can argue, you can convince them. Otherwise, do not go to the maintenance court. Let's say, for example, you're the father and you're the one caring for the minor child and you're taking the mother to the maintenance court. Do not go to the maintenance court and expect the maintenance court just to accept what you are telling them is a gospel truth. Do not expect the maintenance court to feel sorry for you as an applicant for maintenance and all the time just find in your favor and agreeing with you all the time. That's not how the world works, and that's not how the maintenance courts work. They are highly experienced and they deal with these type of matters on a daily basis. Dozens of matters on a daily basis. Therefore, do not think you will have sympathy from anyone. You would not, or have that mindset, and go to the maintenance court and present your case very well. And if you are defending the maintenance matter, present your case very well. I would hate it for a minor child to receive less maintenance than what he or she is entitled to, based upon the parent's income, expenditure, and the minor child's expenditure. And I would hate to ever see a parent paying more maintenance than he or she should in law. That's also unfair, because that additional money goes to the other parent. Here some people might say, it's beneficial, or because you're the primary caregiver, you're entitled to do that, but that's not right. You should get what you are entitled to. You have a legal obligation to maintain your child. Both parents have a legal obligation to maintain a child. Let us work out the proper amounts. If you feel that you're entitled to a bit more, because whatever the circumstances is, present that to the maintenance court. But I believe maintenance amounts should be fair amounts and well worked out and well considered. That's my webinar for today on child maintenance applications. A few points to remember. Fight for your child, fight your case, defend your case if you have to. By the end of the day, remember, you own your case, and whatever outcome there is, it would be based upon how you deal with your case, how much energy you put into it, how well you prepare the documentation, how long you sat on an Excel sheet and worked out the child expenditure, how well you prepared your specific income and expenditure. Let's say you're the one paying maintenance, explaining why you can only afford X amount of money. Because if you are also paying child maintenance, you need to come to the maintenance court and explain to the maintenance court that you earn 10,000 Rand per month, but these are the expenditure. I have uniform to purchase, I have petrol to purchase, I have these specific things I have to purchase on a monthly basis. Therefore, I can only afford so much money. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. Hope to see you online again soon.